Beyond the Hype, a fashion lifestyle tech podcast. Presented by Stephanie Williams and Greg Lewis.
Okay, so picture this. Your closet, but it's entirely online.
Filled with the most incredible one-of-a-kind pieces.
From all the top designers you can imagine.
But here's the catch, it's all digital.
And that is exactly what the Dematerialized is all about. It's causing such a stir in both the fashion world and the tech world. Ready to dig into this?
Yeah, it's more than just, the wow factor of it all, right? What I find super interesting is how they're using blockchain to change how we think about actually owning fashion, experiencing it, even just showing it off online.
For sure. So, okay, for anyone who's like, wait, what's this all about? The Dematerialized is basically an online marketplace, right?
Yep.
Launched back in 2020, and they deal with digital fashion, virtual collectibles, that whole world.
Think of it like your go-to high-end fashion site, but instead of them actually mailing you a real dress or whatever, you get an NFT.
Which is where things get really cool.
It's not just some random picture.
Exactly.
It's like what they call it, a digital certificate of authenticity. It proves you own it, where it came from, all that jazz. And it's all on the blockchain, so it's legit. They started on Ethereum, most people know that one, but actually switched to the Luxo blockchain, which is interesting.
Luxo blockchain, I'm not as familiar with that one.
It's purpose-built for digital lifestyle assets, so makes sense for a platform like this.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal.
Yeah, and it plays into all this digital ownership and provenance stuff we were just talking about.
So, okay, I get the NFT part, but help me out here. When someone wears a digital design, where's that even happening? Is this mostly for gamers, or is there something more to it?
No, it's way bigger than just gaming. Think virtual world, tricking out your avatar on social media, even in some video games, yeah? Mm-hmm. Basically, anywhere you have a digital presence, that becomes your runway. The Dematerialized is giving you the tools to express yourself in those spaces. And what's interesting is it kind of flips the script on fashion's environmental impact too.
Oh, interesting. You mean because it's all digital, there's no physical production?
Exactly. Digital fashion inherently sidesteps all that waste that comes with making actual clothes.
Yeah.
And that's huge, right? Especially now with people, consumers, caring more and more about sustainability, ethical practices, especially in the fashion industry, which, let's be real, hasn't always had the best track record.
Right, totally. So they're tapping into that whole movement we're seeing across pretty much every industry these days.
Big time. Okay, so we've touched on NFTs, sustainability, but have you heard about this whole interoperability thing?
I have, but honestly, I'm still wrapping my head around it.
Yeah, it's a mouthful for sure.
And it seems pretty important in this whole digital fashion scene, right?
It's huge. See, right now, what you own digitally is often stuck on that one platform, right?
Okay, I see what you mean. Like buying a cool hat in a game, but you can only ever wear it in that specific game.
Exactly. So frustrating. But the Dematerialized, they're pushing for something different. Being able to take your digital clothes and wear them across all kinds of online spaces seamlessly. Imagine your digital wardrobe. It's just as versatile as your actual closet. That's the holy grail of digital ownership, right?
That's huge. And it makes investing in these pieces, less risky, But okay, how can they actually guarantee that what you buy on their platform, that digital garment, it's the real deal? The NFT world still feels a bit, Wild West-ish sometimes.
You're telling me. Transparency, that's the key here. And it's something that Dematerialized gets. They're really upfront about where each item came from, how rare it is, even stuff about the design process behind it.
So giving you the whole backstory.
Yeah, exactly. Which builds trust, right? Especially now with all these new NFT marketplaces popping up left and right.
For sure. Got to build that confidence for both buyers and creators.
Totally. And you know what else they've done really well? Partnering with some heavy hitters in the fashion industry. Have you noticed that? It's you see this blend of big name brands dipping their toes into the digital world more and more.
I have. Definitely feels like a growing trend. I'm curious to see where it goes.
Me too. And they've snagged some good ones, they've worked with ROTATE. They're known for their super striking designs. And even those 3D modeling experts, MOJOMOTO, it's all about making those digital garments look as real as possible.
It's smart. It lends credibility to this whole digital fashion thing, right? And probably attracts those bigger brands who are still on the fence about diving in.
100%. Speaking of which, I'm curious, what do you think about how all of this is actually affecting the fashion industry as a whole? It feels like a pretty seismic shift.
It's a disruption for sure. The Dematerialized and others like them, they're forcing the industry to wake up and realize there's this whole new avenue for well, everything. Creative expression, marketing, even just making money, let's be real.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And honestly, I don't think it's a fad. This is here to stay.
It feels bigger than that.
Right. It's more of an evolution, I'd say. Think about it. Those traditional fashion houses, they're starting to see the potential here. NFTs, digital collections, it's how they can connect with a whole new generation of, digital natives, people who might not even care about real-world fashion.
So it's like literally opening up a whole new world for designers, consumers.
And it's not just about recreating physical clothes in a digital space. The Dematerialized is really pushing this idea of storytelling too.
Storytelling. Okay, now you've got me intrigued. What's that look like when we're talking about digital fashion?
So it's about adding layers of meaning to these virtual pieces, right? Imagine a digital garment, but it has a whole history built into it, right there in the code. Maybe it's connected to a specific event or a piece of art, even a social cause. It's about crafting a whole narrative that goes beyond just the visuals, creates a different kind of connection with the buyer.
So it's not just oh, cool, a digital jacket. It's about owning its whole story, its journey, its place in this digital landscape.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's next level. The Dematerialized is pushing boundaries here, urging these brands to create experiences that are more immersive. They resonate on a different frequency.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Less passive consumption, more active engagement. That's the vibe. But, on a more serious note, the article we were reading, it did mention how volatile the NFT market can be. So realistically, what are some of the challenges a platform like this might bump up against?
That's the elephant in the room, right? It feels like a valid concern.
Huge. I mean, the value of those digital assets, it can go up and down like crazy, which is a gamble for everyone involved, the Dematerialized included. But to be fair to them, they seem to be aware of that and are taking steps to, soften the blow if things go south.
Like what kinds of steps? Give me the deets.
Well, for one, they're really focused on building a strong community around the platform. Plus, that transparency thing we were talking about, that's key for building trust. And then there are those partnerships with big brands, which also helps.
So it's like a multi-pronged approach to kind of weather the storms that are probably inevitable in such a new and unpredictable market.
Exactly. Playing the long game, which makes sense. But yeah, market volatility isn't the only hurdle. There's also the whole regulation side of things, which can be a bit of a minefield.
Right, because that whole world, it's still so new, right?
Totally. Governments, regulators, they're all still trying to figure out how to even classify and manage these digital assets. It's like the Wild West, but with NFTs.
Which, creates uncertainty, which can make people nervous.
For sure. But I think it's important to remember, this is all so cutting edge, Challenges, unknowns, it's par for the course. What I find encouraging is that the Dematerialized, they're not shying away from that. They're actually engaging with regulators, pushing for a system that supports innovation, but also protects people.
It's a tightrope walk for sure.
Totally. Trying to move fast and break things, but also make sure everyone's playing by the rules. It's a tough balance.
Yeah, it's a tough balance. Finding that sweet spot between pushing boundaries and playing it safe. But okay, let's zoom out for a sec. We've talked about what they're doing, how they're doing it, but why does any of this even matter? In the grand scheme of things.
$1 million question, right?
It's real.
The Dematerialized, this whole digital fashion thing blowing up, I think it's pointing towards a future where, our online lives are just as important as our real lives. Maybe even more so, eventually,
Whoa, okay, that's a lot to process.
It makes you think about, what does it even mean to own something? What's it worth? Even just identity in a digital world, it gets kind of philosophical.
It really does. Honestly, I'm still struggling to organize my actual closet. The thought of having a whole digital wardrobe to curate too, it's a lot. But I do wonder, will we look back at this moment, this whole digital fashion thing, and be like, oh yeah, that was a weird trend? Or is this a fundamental shift in how we express ourselves?
Right. It's like we're watching something new unfold in real time. For ages, it's been closed,
right,
how we express ourselves in the physical world. But now that same impulse, that drive to show the world who you are, it's spilling over into the digital realm.
I feel that. And it's not just about the clothes, is it? It's the whole experience.
Exactly. It's about creativity, community, even the business side of things will never be the same.
But Dematerialized, it's a platform, but it's also a peek into what the future could hold.
A future where what you wear to that virtual meeting matters just as much as what you'd wear to a real life one. 100%. And just like in real life, those digital spaces, they'll have their own trends, styles, even like whole cultural movements. It's a whole new frontier for fashion, and I'm here for it. Who knows what we'll be wearing in the metaverse in 5 years, 10 years?
I can't even imagine. Well, on that note, we'll leave everyone with that image to ponder you, decked out in your best digital threads, strutting through the metaverse. A huge thank you to our expert for joining us for this deep dive. Seriously, this was mind-blowing.
Anytime.
And to you, our amazing listeners, we always say it, but check out the Dematerialized yourselves. It's a trick. Dive into the world of digital fashion, see what it's all about. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.
Beyond the Hype, a fashion lifestyle tech podcast.